And welcome to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Podcast, Netflix and Kill edition. Oh, I shouldn't say... You know what? We can't keep calling each one Guest Flicks and Kill.
Well, not if we're going to have one every other week.
Not if we're having a Guest Flicks and Kill every other week. We're going to have to leave the pun aside, as much as I love it. But who is lamenting fallen bad puns? Why, it's me, Nick the Merc with a mic, and my fellow Unapologists,
Travis.
And our guest, our host of the We Are Error podcast... your boy, B-O-I, I believe, Jonathan Romo. Say hi, John.
Hi, John.
All of our guests are so good at following directions.
Yes, I love it. Anyway, John, would you like to tell the people a little bit who you are and the We Are Error cast in case they don't know?
Yes, I am your buddy, your friend, your pal, your boy, Jon Romo, as Nick said. But to do all the little shenanigans away, I'm the co-host of We Are Error, a video game podcast that I co-host with Christopher J. Herman, the man with class and the man with a glass, as he likes to call himself. We used to be over there at oneofus.net, which I believe we've mentioned a few times, and we've actually done some video game-related stuff with Nick and Travis in the past.
Yes, I think we've crossed over quite a bit, but this is the first time we've had one of the We Are Error casts on Netflix and Kill. Very exciting. Quick caveat beforehand, though. Man, I love that you've incorporated the taglines. I love it. I'm as a fan, I'm really glad. I like Chris's new handle, the man with a class and a glass. Makes him sound like a very classic alcoholic. I really like it. Very dapper. And how many articles do you have in front of your name? Your buddy, your man, your boy? Or is it like 3, 4? Like, what are you?
Your buddy, your friend, your pal, your boy. It's all very playful. I consider myself a grown-ass kid, so that's very much like my whole thing.
I see. You're a man of many hats. I like it. As many hats as a 90s rap artist. I like it. But yeah, this is Netflix and Kill, and it's John's pick. Since he was lovely enough to come on to us, we let him pick the movie because we are that generous. And what movie are we talking about today, John?
I have chosen 2014's It Follows, directed by David Robert Mitchell.
Jay, you awake? You're not going to believe me, and I need you to remember what I'm saying. This thing, it's going to follow you. Somebody gave it to me, and I passed it to you. Wherever you are, it's somewhere walking straight for you. All you can do is pass it along to someone else.
I'm scared. I need to find him.
What did he really do to you?
Apparently he used a fake name to rent a house in the city.
This isn't real, I swear to you, this is just some game.
If it kills her, it gets me and goes straight down the line to whoever started it.
Mom? No, it's me. Everything's okay.
It could look like someone you know, or it could be a stranger in a crowd. Whatever helps it get close to you.
Do you just want me to give you a quick plot synopsis of everything that
I was just about to ask you for that. Yeah, yes, if you'd like to go into a quick synopsis so that the people know what it is and why it is following.
Okay, so it follows, that's funny, a Detroit college student named Jay. She goes on a date with her new boyfriend, Hugh. This isn't a spoiler, but eventually they have sex with each other. And immediately after that, Hugh reveals to Jay that he has given her a disease of sorts. He has passed on this curse where she will be followed by this demon, I guess it should be called. It can take the form of anything and anyone. It has one rule, and it just follows you. It will walk. It doesn't run ever, from what I remember in the movie, but it just walks towards you in a straight line, and it's going to do that until it gets you. And once it does, it moves on to the person who gave you the disease. So it's like a never-ending cycle.
Yes, passed through sex. I wonder what this is a metaphor for. I can't quite put a thumb on it. Yes, that's what's the unprotected sex. That's why it's evil. But no, of course it is. It's very much in line with sexually transmitted diseases. There's a lot of sexual assault allegories there.
Well, yeah, don't forget the fact that he like chloroforms her after having sex.
Yeah, an odd order. I think I don't. I think if I were to ask our consultant, would that be the order well, you see, I don't normally have that order, but the pudding popped. No, that's a rookie mistake. Yeah, we're gonna retire the Bill Cosby impression. That was poor. It's not funny anymore.
It's alright. You can still do Trump. It's the same thing.
I apologize. We'll switch it up. Obviously, that's we're gonna have to put a whole impression down now, like Old Yeller in the back, because it is just ruined for everybody. Hey, though. But yeah, we're talking about It Follows.
We are.
Yeah. So this is actually the first time I've watched it. Travis, this is the first time you've watched it as well.
Yeah.
I have heard so many great things about it. I was excited to have it, for a perfect excuse to watch it. And I gotta say that, man, this concept is a really, really cool concept. A really interesting.
It is. It's one of those horror movies that the monster isn't clearly defined, and that's okay.
Yeah, and we kind of know a little bit about it. Like, we know certain rules about it, but like it's still very mysterious, and just kind of, just overall threatening. The creepiness of just it walking towards you, always, like it's always coming for you.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and just the paranoia of you see someone walking slowly, it could be it. You don't know.
Well, if we're going by the sexually transmitted disease metaphor, like if it's, representative of AIDS, it's always like, hey, I can live my life and I can buy myself times, but there's always this thing looming over me, coming to get me, coming after me. And if there's one thing I gotta credit this movie for is I want to talk about the camera work a little bit. The cinematography of this movie is breathtaking at points. My God, I love some of the shots in this movie. Especially where they let the camera sit or they have this spin, and we show the monster in the background and like it's just walking. And even sometimes later in the movie, sometimes the characters won't even react. They're just like, oh, there's that thing again that I'm trying to escape. And just that, like, sense of, like, normalcy creeping in on this horrific element, really...
It's a great another metaphor.
And it really comes across visually the way the camera shoots it. Especially there's the scene later where they're going to try and figure out her boyfriend's identity in the school, and there's that shot in the hallway sequence where the camera spins, and they're going into the registration or whatever to try and figure out his name. The camera spins around that hallway, and out the window you can see what you presume is the it following them, just coming, walking it towards them. I think it was like a woman at that point. I forget. Yeah. But yeah, it is just completely walking towards them all the time, and this is reflected in some of the shots of, in the background. You'll be wondering, like, is that the thing? Is that it? Like, it's hard to tell at first because it can take the form of any person whatsoever, wearing anything. So it is.
Let's also define the fact that no one else can see it except for people who have the curse.
Yes. Again, another thing I like is that you are fighting, a disease that's a thing that's invisible. Like, you are fighting this invisible battle, which is, if you are, unfortunate enough to contract an STD, it's also kind of thing, like, no one wants to hear your story. No one really, wants, depending on if you feel shamed or whatever, normally the people don't tell anyone.
Oh yeah, because they made a big deal. It's like, don't tell my parents.
Yeah,
that came up a lot in the movie.
So there's a whole lot to this that really speaks to that. Even sexual violence and stuff like that, and personified in this horror movie monster. I thought that was really clever.
I just thought it kind of ruined a little bit of the movie, where it was like, oh, how do I take care of this? Give it to someone else. I'm like, oh, that's kind of a bad taste in the mouth.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna leave it to John too, because I since it's his pick, I'm really interested to hear what he thought of the movie. John, like, what's drew you to this movie?
Yeah. So first off, I think I've seen this movie maybe 2 handfuls of times. It is continuously moved up my ladder of favorite movies, and it is easily in my top 5 favorite horror films. I have to say, I don't really enjoy horror films usually, but my favorite horror film of all time, and probably top 5 films overall, is John Carpenter's Halloween. And there's a lot of similarities to what I love about that movie and what I love about It Follows. What you say about cinematography and camera work. The camera works best when it's not moving, when it shows you normalcy in regular old suburbia, but it forces the viewer to scan the entire screen repeatedly, looking for this titular it, or looking for Michael Myers. Both of those elements work exactly the same. It is nightmares invading home in a sense. And another thing that I have to point out is, like, I love the John Carpenter score in Halloween, and I love the Disaster Piece score in It Follows, and which is another tie-in to the thing I love about video games, because Disaster Piece also did Fez and Hyper Light Drifter from last year. Both also incredible soundtracks.
I love the soundtrack to this movie.
So weird.
And I don't know, Travis, was it distracting you? Because I know you said like it was weird, but did you enjoy it or not?
No, it was just, it's not that I didn't enjoy it. Just every once in a while, it kind of brought me like, this is so weird.
Well, the thing is that I was watching this movie and I'm just like, this is the best fucking 80s movie made in the 2010s that I've ever seen. Because this is it. The way it's shot, John is completely right. It's shot and looks like the way it's shot is like an early Carpenter film, and like just like Halloween, like where what you see is the shape in the background. I really like that. The soundtrack, that like fucking 80s synth or whatever, that provides this like sense of just odd
surrealism.
Yeah, and you are like this. It's kind of like this weird tension. And I felt like I was like transported back, and I'm like, I wasn't even alive in the 80s, and now I feel like I'm transported back in time to a time that I didn't even exist in.
It does kind of also have that Stranger Things kind of feeling too.
Ooh, yeah. Well, kind of. Well, yes. Like, Stranger Things is much more is taking elements from Spielberg,
right,
and King, like Stephen King.
Not so much the type of, but like more the period of.
Yes, this I feel like is taking more from like lower tier budget stuff like Carpenter and like 80s tech horror or something like that, because the soundtrack and the cinematography were really putting me in that mindset, to the point where I had to remind myself like, oh, this movie doesn't take place in the 80s. Like I was just like,
well, we don't actually know when this movie takes place, to be honest.
Well, see,
I saw like I'm sorry, what's that, John?
I was gonna say that's another thing that I love about this movie is it doesn't ever place itself. The only time we kind of see a cell phone really is in one of her friend's hand, where she's reading the Odyssey on this weird clamshell-esque cellular phone, sort of. And the other
that was
callbacks,
like a compact.
Yeah, something similar to that, but it's the closest we see to really like a phone. And the cars feel older. The aesthetics of all of their rooms just feel and look not of this time. And even the movies that the characters watch, they're all watching black and white movies. So I think that was a deliberate choice by the director to just put it in this, to again call back to those movies of the 80s with that kind of timeless vibe.
No, I totally agree. And plus that clamshell thing, where did I get one of those? Those are cool.
That was interesting.
I can easily modify that into a turtle com from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle show. I totally could do it. But anyway, diving a little more into the plot, like the story itself, I really like, especially the second, like the first and second act of this movie, including the boyfriend, having sex with her and then drugging her, and then kind of like he forces her to see the creature, and that makes sense because he has investment to her surviving, because if it kills her, it's coming after him next. So he's going to do everything he can to make sure that she is that she knows like the score, she knows what's going down, that she believes it. Because the reason it's coming after him is apparently because it killed the other girl that he had slept with before. So he was like, oh shit, it's back to me. I gotta pass this thing on as quick as I can. It's odd that he would after that would ditch her and try and avoid her at all costs. You feel like he would at least be a little like maybe he would call her or something.
He kind of I don't know about the calling thing. He kind of gave his ring where he didn't want her nearby because if it got to her and killed her, that if he was close by, it'd be easier for it to get him.
Yeah, and I can sort of get it on that and from that perspective. Like, yeah, you don't want to be there, but I mean, I would rather know. I would like to know, like, I want to keep an update on that person if they are alive or not, because I know if they are dead, then, oh shit, the thing is coming
Yeah,
at
but he
me.
also sexually assaulted and drugged her, and if she calls the cops and he gets arrested and then she dies, he's fucked.
Well, I mean, he's already chloroformed her. I wouldn't worry about being creepy. I would keep tabs on her at certain points and then figure out if she had sex with someone else. And then, I don't know, it's interesting because, You realize, like, he's a, like, you think, like, whoa, he totally moved this thing onto her to save himself. But then you kind of realize, like, he's in a shit scenario of someone did this to him, too.
Well, he had sex at a bar.
No, but someone passed this thing to him.
Yeah.
And he could have just had sex with her and then disappeared and not told her anything about it. He actually was more considerate than the person that did it to him. In a way. It's not like there's a clean scenario for you if you get this thing. If you die, it's not like a super noble sacrifice because you're possibly killing everyone behind you that was also put in the same situation you were put in.
There's no real win-win in this one.
Well, and that's a really interesting thing to keep in mind because you have to like knowingly give this fucking horror movie STD to somebody else in order to save yourself.
It's not even actually saving yourself, it's just
buying
belonging
time.
to the time, hoping you die of natural causes before then.
Well, everything you do is a time. So everything you do is buying time with this thing. Like no matter what you do, it's just the amount of time that you can get. Which is like even we see the guy later, and he's not like it's passed from him, and even him, he's still super nervous, living like a hermit. He doesn't he won't go anywhere that doesn't have more than one exit. He's always once you get this thing, there's never a time where you're not paranoid for the rest of your fucking life. So I'm really sympathetic towards our main character. What was her name again?
Jay.
Jay. Yeah, I really, really sympathize with her and man, you kind of you think to yourself, like, what would I do in this situation? You always think that to yourself in a horror movie, like, what would I do? And in this one, I was just like, man, this just sucks.
They didn't even do any stupid white people stuff in this movie.
Well, no, she just had sex with the guy she was dating for a while.
Well, that's a stupid white people thing, I guess, no.
Well, no, but not even a guy she just met. They've been dating for a while.
We don't know how long his con was, but he was clearly setting this up.
Yeah, I think he was dating her, we don't even know if he was dating her with the intention to give it to her, or if it was just like, oh shit, the other girl I had sex with, she died, and now I gotta give this thing to the next person, and she was the easiest, the easiest person to give it to. We don't know if he started dating her with the intention of giving the disease to her.
It almost seems like he wasn't, because remember they were playing the game at the beginning of find a person in the crowd, the person in the yellow sundress.
Yeah.
There's nobody there.
Yeah,
and then he freaks out.
Well, and then of course there's that whole he says I would rather be the kid. He's that kid's got his whole life ahead of him, and that very leading to where he's constantly thinking about the next day if he's going to survive the next day with this thing after him. And so that's very telling that's where his head is at. That's where he wants to be innocent before he had sex.
Right.
Again, leading towards that. There's nothing in this movie that doesn't lead back to the sex metaphor.
Well, no. Well, so I think the STD, the it as being an STD metaphor is, it's there, but I think it's kind of the surface one. One that's just beneath that, and the one I like to look at as, is that it isn't just about an STD, but going back to what that boyfriend said about the kid, it's about innocence. It's about when certain times when we start to grow up, Jay says it before it happens. She's like, when I was little, I just wanted to be in a car going nowhere with a cool boyfriend in a pretty dress. Like, it's the dreams we have when we're children, and to watch them kind of tainted as we get older into, you know, we long to one day, we wish we could just go back to when it was simple, when things were, you know, just, I just want to color on the floor, when I just can't reach the water fountain. Like, that's what it's about. It's about growing up. At least that's the way I see it. Again, you can read it how you want to read it, but I've always read it as like, sex is the most, I think, easiest thing to point to in terms of this is the point when you are no longer a child, when you give up your body to someone else and you indulge in like an adult thing. And you speak on her boyfriend Hugh, which I don't believe he really knew. That he didn't know at the time when he started dating her that it was coming. Like Travis had said, when you look at the movie date, it's okay, now it's here. Okay, now I've got to move this thing a little quicker. So I don't really think he had ill intentions in that. But again, his life is no longer normal. His life is forever changed by one action. And he, like you said, has to live with that paranoia and with that anxiety. Like something about his life is forever changed. But to go back on like Jay's decision to have sex with him and like how he just leaves, she opens herself up to someone and it happened to be the wrong someone. And I don't want to get into spoilers yet.
It's
but
not necessarily the wrong someone. It was just the person in the wrong situation.
Well, I like to think of it as not the wrong someone necessarily, but someone who she wasn't in love with, or like that's what I think the ending kind of says a little bit. How you say he just like told her and then left, and now he's living in paranoia and he's not enjoying anything. I don't want to talk about the ending exactly yet until you guys give me the spoiler cue, but I think it ties directly into that and my thoughts on the final shots of the film. Yeah,
we are going to have to be a little clear because I do want to talk about some of the other aspects of this film that do tie in with the ending, but we'll wait to get in that a little bit. I still got some stuff to cover that I really enjoyed about the film, just editing wise and some film technique stuff. And writing. I really like the aspect that this monster is physical. Like
it interacts with the world.
That's cool. I mean, I didn't. I don't know why I just didn't expect that. Probably because most of the times when I see a ghost kind of movie like this or like monster thing, it usually doesn't. Where everyone else can't see it, but everyone else can like physically like interact with it. Mm-hmm. Like it as it like that scene on the beach where it grabs her.
Yeah.
That was fucking awesome. That might be my favorite sequence of the film, of just how jarring and like scary it is, and how normally in a horror movie, the monster always catches the person when they're alone, at night, when they're in a dark room where there's no escape. But in this one, it was like if you want to take the metaphor to a sexual assault, it's like a trigger, like where it can happen at anywhere at any time, surrounded by anybody, and it creeps up on her, and we see it in the background. We know it's coming. She doesn't,
but no one else can see it.
No one else can see it. We see it grab her by the hair. Her friends try and help her out, and her crush hits it with a fucking chair, and it nails him. Like, it hits him. I love that effect because it's like this nothing is kicking the shit out of all her and her friends. Mm-hmm. And they even shoot it, and it like the bullets actually hit it. It seems to be immortal, like where it just can't die.
And it's also kind of interesting because most movie monsters, if they're invisible, like clearly they want to be invisible. This thing doesn't care. Like, it's interacting with people. It doesn't really care that it just happens to be invisible because it's not even a function of its need to kill. It just happens to be invisible.
Yeah, I really can't stress enough how scary this monster is when it technically has no form. When it appears that...
It's a scary thought, but it's also kind of hilarious because it's just sitting there shambling towards you. Like, it's creepy because it won't stop, yes.
Yeah.
But just seeing someone walk towards you, like, oh, I can just walk away from this.
Yeah, well, when you put it into that context, it's kind of more of a... It seems like it would be an easily defeated monster. Like, you could figure, like, okay, someone must be smart enough to figure out how to defeat this thing.
Well, this thing was also clearly polite enough to wait for people to be awake to chase after it.
The one, she tries to pass it off at some point, and then that guy goes to sleep, and it, like, knocks on his door. Well, I guess it does wake him up beforehand. I don't know. But it does have to, like, it can't go through doors, it has to, like, break through windows. It has rules that it operates by.
Yeah, but not everyone sleeps with a closed door.
I like the fact that it operates by rules, because I don't like horror movie monsters that are, like, invincible and all-powerful. Because
I totally agree. It's just that the rules were kind of vague.
Well, I think the rules would always be kind of vague with this thing, because no one wants to be around it enough to figure out what exactly it can and can't do.
True.
Like, they have a vague sense of, like, what it can and can't do. They say that's like, it might seem dumb, but it's smarter than you think it is. Mm-hmm. I question how smart it is, but John, what do you think about the monster itself and its design?
Well, so the first time I watched it, and I got to see it in a theater, which is a great way to watch this movie. Travis's faults with the vagueness of the rules didn't really bother me because I was so enraptured. And the more I watch it, the more I'm like, yeah, especially in that third act, like the rules of the monster kind of start twisting and shifting, and they get thrown out the window a little bit. So I can see that being a detriment to someone, why they would be like, the monster doesn't make any sense at some point. But I think usually at that point, by the time it starts getting weirder, which I think is about 60% of the way through, kind of at the beach scene with the hair pull thing, but I'm already engaged. I'm already enjoying the movie, and I don't think it becomes too much of a detriment, but I can see why Travis has a problem with it. But to speak on to what you said about the beach, actually, to not spoil the entire scene, because I really love that scene. You guys, I don't know if you knew at the time or you're just kind of recalling it that way, but I remember not knowing that was the monster, because we just see someone coming, and it's someone we've known already. So we're like, oh, okay, cool. And then the way the camera work goes, and it like shoots what Jay has seen, and then someone comes into frame, and that's when you're like, wait a minute, who's that? And then you're like, oh my gosh, that's the monster. Again, it plays with the idea that the film sets up later, is like, it can be anyone. The twisted thing is it can be someone that you love. And so like, to see that happen and for the film to do that to us, it is like, oh wait. And then it's too late, kind of like a trigger thing. Like, you don't know where it's going to come from.
Yeah, to your point, like, I was curious, like, when you see that person in the back frame, I'm like, who is that? Is this a mislead? Is that the thing? Like, you're kind of always wondering. Like, you're never 100% sure unless the certain situation where it's like, oh shit, yeah, that is the monster. And yeah, I like the fact that it can appear as anyone, like someone you love.
Although it's naked half the time, which is weird.
Someone naked, or a really tall, creepy motherfucker. Did you see where it like turns to that tall guy like in the house?
I love that scene. Like where they open the door for the friend and there's nothing behind her, and also just this looming giant. I'm like,
yes,
that scene was amazing.
It was scary as shit.
That was probably my favorite scene in the movie, honestly.
I did like that quite a bit. But yeah, while we're talking about favorite scenes, I really enjoy the beach scene, and here's another thing I like about it, is that when she finally drives away, like in a car, she gets the car and she drives, the shot that's like, there's a mounted camera on the back of the car, and we get to see the thing walking after her, and we see, the car shift around where she's trying to get away, and then we still see the creature, and then we see her friends run up. Then no matter how far away she drives, we can still see the creature in the background for almost the entire shot, which is like I really like it because just it's like visual representation of you can make the problem farther away or smaller, but it will never ever fully go away.
Yeah,
which is just right after that scene of this big fucking high of just visually going of like, okay, we're gonna distance ourselves from the danger, but like just visually represent how useless it is ultimately. I thought was really cool. John, what would you say is your favorite scene?
My favorite scene. Dang, That's really actually hard. Travis, you go first because I don't actually know.
Well, I already mentioned mine, where it was like when they were opening that, like one of the first times they're in their room together with all their friends, and they open the door for the one friend to come in, and then it's standing behind them as like a giant that just appears out of the shadows.
Mm-hmm. Well, even before that, but right before that scene where we see the woman pissing herself, walking towards her, bleeding through the broken window or whatever, that's fucking scary.
One interesting thing I want to mention about the beach scene, though, is that at one point they run away from it and they hide in like a little shed, but it has like a small little, like almost like cat-dog door almost, just to have a hole, and they think it's gone. She starts crawling forward. I just remember you yelling like to not do that. I'm like, and I point out this isn't even a super white thing because she has to, because she's the only one that can even see it.
Yeah, that's right. I'm like, my immediate thought was someone else go check, and then Travis immediately corrected me as like, she's the only one that can see it. I'm like, fuck.
That would be the natural reaction is, what are you doing? Why would you do that? But she has to.
Yeah, I'm like, damn it, that's right. I totally forgot about that.
I've got it. It's either the end scene, which I can't talk about yet, or the last shot, which I can't talk about yet. But I really enjoy the scene that you had mentioned earlier where they go to the high school to kind of find out a little more about the boyfriend. And not the circular shot, which is, I really do like the circular shot. And you get to see a little bit of the monster. But there's later when they're all in the car and you're just like looking at the front windshield with them. It's the idea that it's right there in front of them and they never see it. And that's what's wild, is that like it's there and it's relatively close. If they sat there and just kept talking or whatnot, Jay is screwed. But just by happenstance, they eventually leave and it doesn't get her. But it's that idea that a lot of times through the movie, she understands when it's coming, or she interacts with it and she gets away, and she's scared. But what's scary is it's right there and she never knows.
Yeah, it is very like just you want to scream at the screen like go 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 like just fuck, it's right there. But I did like that because I realized like if I want to scream that at the screen, it means I'm really invested in what's going on. We've talked about like what we really liked about this film, so let's talk about a couple things maybe we didn't quite we're just crazy about. I know for me, and this is going to be a thing that I think is pretty consistent with me, is just that the ending. It's not like the ending's bad. I wanted a different ending, which I know is kind of unfair, but I feel like the movie was setting me up for we were really just thinking about how the movie monster worked, how it was like we were slowly figuring it out, like this mystery.
Well, we had a whole plan set up.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, it's kind of setting up like they're going to figure out a kind of a smarter way out of it to try and like really, because she doesn't want to pass spoiler, she tries to pass the thing on to someone else, but it doesn't really work. So she doesn't, I thought they were going to try and find a different solution. And what they end up trying, I don't understand from the get-go. Like, I don't understand why they even tried it, because while it is different than just shooting the monster like they did before in the beach scene, it's not that different.
No.
So I don't understand why they would even try this, or why they thought it would work.
I think I would have been okay with that scene. It just seemed a little too long.
Yeah, you know what? I think you're right. Maybe a little bit shorter, where I wouldn't have been able to think about it a lot. It might have helped it. Was that basically your biggest problem too, or did you have any other issues with the film?
My biggest issues were just the inconsistency with the monster. But yeah, that scene, I think if it just had been shorter, I would have been okay with it. It did have a little bit too lengthy. Where they kept trying, it's like, it's not working, you should probably just abandon this idea.
Yeah, well, even with the monster, I thought it was like, man, they for the beginning part of this, they were keeping the rules really consistent to the point where I don't know, I felt like it was leading up to something different. Like, but I do get the ending of kind of like there's the ending sense of like you're always going to be living with this sort of thing. Like there's no clean way out of it. I mean, I get that. Maybe it's just because I've seen that ending in a lot of horror movies lately, of just the depressing, there's no real way to win ending.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, okay. Which again is not really this movie's fault. It's just that I've seen that a lot and I'm kind of a little tired of it. But overall, it doesn't, like, I was thinking about this movie yesterday, and I was just thinking about it, like all the good things that I liked about it, and I realized, like, man, I really like this movie. I really like a lot of aspects about it.
I almost give this one a little bit more credit for the ending of being depressing, because this whole movie's theme was that it's like, you don't have a way out, you're just gonna deal with it, and that was more them accepting it than anything.
Yeah, I suppose, it did kind of fit emotionally.
Yeah.
With emotionally, the first two acts do feel like that, so I can kind of...
I actually don't. I like the ending, it's just that...
the right before scene, before the ending?
The scene in the pool, I didn't like that one.
Everyone's all, like, being so, like, why are you being so goddamn vague? But John, did you have anything about the film that you weren't crazy about?
Yeah, again, I think I mentioned it earlier, but I have to agree with you guys. It's the third act. It kind of when it tries to get too much into the lore of the monster and how it works is when it starts to show its seams. And I think the pool scene is very much that.
Yes.
On the other hand, though, and because I am such a defendant for this movie, and I do love it, and it doesn't bother me as much as it probably would bother anyone else. But the way I like to look at that movie too, or that scene too, is that they're kids and they don't really know how to tackle these adult things. They're just kind of making it up. And again, you'll notice adults aren't really present in this movie. The only consistent adult is Jay's mom, and she's just kind of hinted at as being an alcoholic. Almost every scene she's in, she's drinking, and there's even particularly a shot where she's like passed out in the middle of the afternoon, and a shot of wine on her dresser is shown. So like this is a world where the kids cannot depend on the adults, and they're kind of on their own. And what do you do when you're kind of struck with this kind of thing? You'll try anything, because you don't have any sort of clue. Again, like Travis said, he's like, what were they thinking? Why were they doing it? They don't know what they were thinking. What would you do? Exactly. Like, if I was faced with that monster and I'd shot it once, I'd be like, I don't know, let's try and electrocute it. Maybe that'll work. Like, let's just try.
The thing is, we thought of something. Nick actually had a little idea.
Yeah, well, I really, I was really thinking about this movie really hard, and I kind of came up with something, but I think I'll save it for the spoiler section, because it might involve how the monster works and stuff. So I'm going to save it for the spoiler section. But yeah, the pool scene is probably the weakest part of this movie for me. I don't know. I do get the excuse of like, they're kids and they have no idea what to do, and I'm like, and I get that. I just like when my movies wrap up and I go like, it does something. I'm like, ooh, that makes sense. That's smart. I like that. I usually like that more than, well, this is a thing that they try, even though it doesn't really make a lot of sense. But that's just an ending I prefer more than anything. So I'm not going to hold it too much against this film, because I really did enjoy almost every other aspect about this movie.
It was a good movie.
So with that, I think I'm just going to go into final thoughts and ratings. I think that this movie, I think it should be, for just cinematography wise, should be probably taught in film class of what they do with the camera to show like visually a threat, and just where your focus should be in a shot to really maximize the audience's attention and to divert their attention, and really play with audience expectation. And I think that was really like the strongest point of this movie. That and the initial concept of it. So I really enjoyed it on just not only a technical level, but like conceptually, and just like at least the first two acts of writing. The acting's pretty solid throughout a lot of it. Like just them kind of dealing with the threat that, like John stated, that they just have no idea how on earth to deal with. One day they're worried about, who likes who and what they're going to do for school, and the next day they're dealing with this fucking supernatural threat out to get their best friend. It garners like it. I love seeing a horror movie that I actually care about what happens to the fucking characters in it.
Yeah, because like we said before, they don't do anything necessarily stupid or wrong. No white people moves.
Yeah, no. So I'm going to give this one, four invisible chair WWE chair hits out of 5. Really strong. I would highly recommend you go and
strong
check it
movie
out.
Or strong chair hit?
Both.
Okay.
Both chair hit. Not strong enough because he got his ass laid out afterwards. Travis, how about you?
I agree with you, because like you obviously pay more attention to the cinematography than I do, but I did notice a lot of really cool shots. I do kind of like these horror movie monsters that are more of a representation of something rather than just being, it's a ghost, boo! Personally now I want a versus movie though.
Yeah?
Yep, I want It versus Babadook.
Oh, okay. Where's the Babadook?
Yep,
At first I thought you were going with Pennywise, the other It.
No, that's boring. I don't even know what Pennywise is besides a clown and a giant spider, so...
It versus It.
Yeah, no. No, I want an STD versus depression. Fight.
Okay.
But overall, this movie was really solid overall, and I'm similar to John, I don't really like horror movies, but this one didn't have jump scares. The monster is ever present, which is always something I enjoy, similar to Splice, where it's just like, here it is. Watch it. And it was just a really solid movie, and I enjoyed quite a few parts in it. I'm probably going to give it an 8 out of 10.
All right. A solid rating from Travis. And he hates movies, so you know it's good.
I despise them, honestly. I only come on here because you forced me to.
I know. We'll get those chains off in a minute. Anyway, John, what is your rating?
Yeah, I mean, I picked it for an obvious reason because it's one of my favorite movies of this decade. Again, it has so many similarities to John Carpenter's Halloween in terms of cinematography, score, kind of the tone, and the use of space. And a quick call out to Micah Monroe, who plays Jay. She does a wonderful job. And if you guys enjoy this movie, I recommend that someone also check out The Guest. I think it was made maybe a year or two earlier. It stars Dan Stevens, who you guys might know from Beauty and the Beast. And I think he's in a couple other things. But Micah is also in that movie. And it also similarly does the thing with the 80s vibe, a killer soundtrack. And it just kind of has a callback to those movies of yore, but it's more action-y. It's more... I don't know, stealth spy. It's a different vibe. It's a different tone and a different genre, it's a different genre, but the same sort of tone and the same sort of callbacks. But yeah, back to It Follows. It. The only problems I have again are with the third act, but even then, I'm always so invested in it that it never bothers me, and I think I spin it in a way to where it's like, no, it goes with the ethos of what I like about this movie. So all in all, I have to give it 4.5. Tampered with condoms out of 5.
Damn. That is a question I was wondering, is like, if you wore a condom, like if you did safe sex, does it not
again,
with the monster?
It doesn't really go into the rules too much.
If you do same sex with the monster? I actually have it here. The director says, he actually goes into a couple more of the rules of the monster, is that if you use safe sex, you're still screwed.
Okay.
Same sex, still screwed.
I mean, it kind of makes sense because, like John said before, it's more of a loss of innocence than anything.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, apparently here, if you even if you hold hands in the movie theater before you're married, you're still screwed. Wow, this is a conservative ghost. Conservative as fuck.
It's very fuck.
I made that last one up, but but yes, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Netflix and Kill. Stick around for a spoiler section after the musical break, and we will give our go a little more into detail in the third act and why it had a couple rough spots in it, and maybe my theories of how to defeat the It monster. But if you'd like to check out some of our previous catalog, on our iTunes feeds, maybe just our regular episodes of UGO Podcast, some of our other movie reviews and all our other good stuff, you can do that. Give us a 5-star rating on iTunes, and we'll read that. We will read what goes in that review box on the air, word for word. We've been getting a couple of them from our conventions lately that are really fun, really weird. Also deal with some weird sexual stuff, shockingly. But yeah, or you can just check us out on our regular website, unapologeticgeekout@gmail.com is our email. If you would like to email us a suggestion for a movie you'd like us to watch, I'm always open to that. Tweet us at UGO Podcast. Maybe give us a like on Facebook. Message us there. And yeah, with that, John, where can people find you?
I am at your buddy John on Twitter, on Letterboxd, on Twitch, Anchor, Medium. That's why I'm at your buddy John on most things, just because it's easy to follow me there. But also check out We Are Air Podcast. It's a video game podcast, once again, that I host with my co-host, Christopher J. Herman. If you follow us on Twitter at We Are Error Cast, Be sure to send us a like on Facebook, subscribe to the show, and let us know what you think about it.
All right. Well, yes, that is, and check us out because there's some great video game content there. And check out John's other stuff at Your Buddy John, because he's not only your boy, your man, your dude, your boy. I said your boy already. Your boy, your bae, your buddy. I think there's a couple there's a couple adjectives in there that I'm pretty sure you haven't hit yet, John. But I'm sure you're working your way around to them.
Friend, confidant.
But anyway, your confidant, your concierge, your comrade. But anyway, we're gonna take a small musical break. And we're going to come back with the spoiler section right after this.
So, John, what's it actually like making movies that you like and people should watch? I don't know. We usually don't get that too often.
We are not used to that. I've seen things.
We're going to see
Horrible
things, remember? That's why you had this on.
Oh, is our next one Spawn?
Yes.
Fuck.
It's still Spawn. It's not going away, Nick. It's still following you, no matter how many guest flicks you put in front of it.
John, you doing anything next week? You want to guest flicks and kill again?
It won't stop, Nick.
God, I don't want to do Spawn. We've done Cowboys versus Dinosaurs, and I don't want to do Spawn.
Running joke.
But we're not talking about Spawn. We're talking about some other horrible creature. Another horrible abomination against God, which is the It monster from It Follows. So we're just going to spoil a little bit about what we thought about the ending a little bit, so that we can go into a little more detail than we normally would. John, do you want to start with maybe the pool scene on some of the reasons you thought it was
we should go back into the first time they attempt to transfer the demon.
Oh, I suppose you're right. Yeah, we'll go back. We'll sneak back time-wise a little bit. What's his name again? The guy that basically follows them from like the park where he was in, like, it's a kind of an odd, like, they realize that they kind of know each other later, but like the guy literally comes out of the movie kind of out of nowhere, just to be skeptical of his eyes, basically. I was like, there's nothing out here, and I'm like, that hole didn't make itself. Like, why do you think they're making this up? But yeah, she ends up through, trying to get rid of this thing by having sex with him in the hospital bed. It's like, time is of the essence. I got to get rid of this thing. Where that hospital must be super far away from where they crashed, because it took forever for the fucking creature to get there. But yeah, she has sex with him.
He doesn't really believe her.
And then it leads to another shot that I like, where she sees him walking down the street later, and then it seems like he's kind of acting a little bit weird. He's trying to get into his own house, but then he can't get in, so he picks up a rock, smashes the window, and we kind of realize, like, oh, fuck, that's the creature.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's after him, but it looks like him, which I'm just like, man, this monster's really weird and inconsistent with what it, like, looks like, because it's in between shots it'll change. We never see it change, though. It's always when someone's not looking at it when it changes its appearance, which I thought was interesting.
It's like a shape-shifting boo ghost.
Yeah, so we finally get to see it actually kill somebody.
Through Schnoo.
I always thought, I didn't think I was going to die this way, but I always secretly kind of hoped.
Although, geez, with that opening scene with the girl that has, like, her leg twisted, like, forward.
Well, it seems like it's
some rough sex.
It seems like a very violent death, where it's very sexual, but it's very violent and seemingly painful. Where it takes it looks like his mom. That's messed up.
Yeah.
I feel like that was what a dick ghost. I mean, I realize that it's a monster and everything, but it doesn't have to be that big of an asshole.
I mean, you're already dying.
Through my last minutes of life, you want to give me an Oedipus complex that I got to deal with? Thanks, monster. Thanks. But yeah, so that plan didn't work great.
No.
So
having sex with someone who didn't believe you probably wasn't the best idea in the first place. But
her options were a little limited.
No, I'm not gonna fault the movie for it, because still shitty situation.
So it leads us to the pool scene, though. where her crush, whose name I've also man for characters I really cared about, I can't seem to remember.
The boy who likes her is Paul. The boy she gave the disease to is Greg.
Okay, yes, Paul. Now Paul, I remember because Paul is crushing on her hard.
Yeah. Kind of creepy way at some points in the movie.
Yeah. And for the most part, I thought she just wasn't interested. But then later she says, "No, I didn't have sex with you because I like you too much," sort of. And I'm like, I was a little mixed on whether or not she actually returned feelings for him. But anyway, Paul is like, do you trust me? I got an idea. So their idea is to put a bunch of electrical appliances near a pool, have her go into the pool and wait for the monster to come there, and then when it goes in the pool, they'll take her out of the pool real quick and then throw the lamps in there and electrocute it. Which, for me, I'm like, wait, what? But why would electrocuting kill it?
Well, at first I wasn't thinking that. I actually thought it was kind of a clever idea, because if she's in the middle of the pool, since we've seen this monster interact with the world, you'd assume it would make the water move. Mm-hmm. And like, oh, so they can see it now. That's kind of interesting.
Yes. I thought it was going to go into a whole YouTube thing, but they don't want to date this movie at all, so I think that's was out of the question. But anyway, what they end up doing is that the id monster kind of figures out, like, hey, I'm not an idiot, I see all these things around, so he throws the appliances into the water.
No, he throws it at her.
At her, and it turns out that shit doesn't work anyway. Like, it doesn't electrocute her, and if it doesn't kill her, then it's not going to kill anybody. But yeah, I was just wondering, like, so if a bullet to the neck doesn't kill it, why would you think, like, you know, why would you think, you know, electrocuting would work? I thought if you were to lead it somewhere, like into a pool, and then put, like, I don't know, like, my idea would be more to trap the thing than anything.
Put a cover on it.
Like, well, they've already shown that they can put, like, a sheet over it to show where it is. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, and I like that, because I was like, I put a sheet over the ghost. Get it? I thought they were going to almost cut holes out of it first. Like, I thought it would be really funny. Go real Scooby-Doo with it. They end up shooting it in the head while it's in the pool. And we cut to the next scene of, like, well, I guess I'm going to have sex with you.
Well, no, because then, like, the water spreads everywhere in the pool. Like, it envelops the whole entire pool for some reason.
Yeah, well, and then I'm like, wait, are we supposed to think it's dead? Because I don't think it's dead. I mean, I don't see why that would kill it. If nothing, if shooting it in the face could kill it, someone would have killed this thing already.
Yeah.
Someone would have given it a try. But yeah, so she just has sex with her, with Paul, and then the last shot, which I really like, is just this last shot of them holding hands together, and we see, out of focus, a woman, I think, walking towards them in the background, and that's what we end the shot on.
Well, they also have he sees two hookers, and that's what the scene before, when he's walking by, sees, like, two, like...
Yeah, but I wasn't sure if he had sex with them, though.
Pretty sure he did.
I mean, well, if he did, I don't think it worked, because that last scene, or then again, it could be a whole mystery. I don't know, John, what do you think?
Something before the pool scene, too, that I think kind of parallels what Paul does with the prostitutes, is that Jay, right after Greg dies, she hops in the car and just drives as fast as she can. She ends up on a beach, and in the morning, she wakes up, sees three dudes, like, out on a boat. She starts taking off her clothes and walking towards them. And the next scene we see her, she's like dripping wet from the ocean. Same way with the scene with Paul, we're kind of led to believe that she's just kind of selling herself at this point, just trying to get rid of it. And I do believe that moment when she tells Paul that I like you too much and I don't want to put this on you. Because that kind of thing, exposing someone else, taking someone else's innocence, or, you know, exposing them to the adult world is a thing. Like it has to be weighed appropriately, and it's kind of a special moment, and Jay like sees value in Paul and cares about him too much to bring him into this. She didn't care about Greg, and which is also an interesting idea. To go with the last shot, I think the last shot, you know, as I was thinking about it while I was thinking about it for this podcast, is like it kind of helps tie together some of the decisions about like how I think Hugh is what the original boyfriend's name is, and even with Greg, the way they like have sex with her and then they're not part of her life. but Paul is at the end. And, you know, the idea that, well, why would you choose to stay with that person, like, right next to them? That would, like, especially if it's going to get you both. And it's the idea, I don't know, like, as someone who kind of suffers from time to time with anxiety, it's like there are a lot of things out in the world that, you know, scare me, or like I could irrationally think, oh, this thing is going to hurt me. And instead of hiding inside my house all day like Hugh does, you find people that make it worth it, and that like it's what love is. It's, you know, you're ushered into the adult world and there's so much pain and so many things to be afraid of, but to have someone who will stand by you, you can find enjoyment in it. And like, once they're gone, you might as well be gone too. And I love that idea. And if you look at what they're wearing, Paul kind of has like a dark jacket on with a white shirt underneath, and Jay has a white dress on. This kind of symbol of marriage. And yeah, someone is behind them, and I do think that is the titular it. But I think at this point they've both accepted that, like, okay, we're in this together at least, and you know, I'm not so alone anymore. And I think it's a really beautiful idea that the movie is kind of putting across in that last scene. And you can take it as, oh, they're never going to get away, it's kind of bad. But I see it as sort of, they found someone to write it out with. And that's better than being alone forever. To have a day with someone is better than, to have a day with someone is better than having years alone.
Well, I think not only just that, but not just the marriage symbolism, but also just the idea of, going back to the STD thing, having a support. You know, not even just having someone there to back you up, even if it isn't part of the STD. Just having someone to fall back on.
Yeah, boy, going deep on John's going deep on this. I like it. Normally we do a little more dick jokes here, but I like this too. This is pretty cool.
Dicks were involved in this situation.
Paul has a dick.
Paul does have a dick, at least for now. But yeah, I do like that last shot and how it works too. But for me, what I thought this movie was going to end with was a little bit different. I thought it was going to end with more of a support structure, like a STD group. And what I mean by that is that I thought she was going to like prove, she was going to record the monster, and like, hey, this thing is real. If you know what this thing is, if you can see it, then you've got this, like, because some people might not even know that they were part of the chain, if you think about it.
Maybe.
It's like this, then if you see this thing, then you're a part of the chain, and like, we'll help each other to you know, help each other survive, because we've tried doing this alone for so long, let's band together and do it. And what my thought was that if you just got together with, like, say 7 or 8, like maybe not even that many people that have had this thing previously, I feel like you could defeat this thing in just trying to be a little more clever about it. We don't even know that if you have sex with someone that's already past the thing, of someone else previous in the chain, does it not go to them, or does it go backwards in a circle? Because if you can make this a circle, then you can, with people that live in different cities, you can, during the week one day, go drive to maybe a neighboring city, maybe a couple hours away, have sex with another person, and then have them go and have sex with another person, and just have this Jenga chain go along, and have this it monster walking around in a circle, never getting to anybody. And the thing with that, I think that would be cool, is that we would defeat the monster, or the you know, the lack of interest in the thing about sex, with knowledge, by normalizing it, and not treating sex like this dirty thing that we should keep secret, and being less shameful about it. I thought that would have been a really cool message of just like, hey, yeah, we had sex, but we shouldn't be demonized and be, you know, monsters for having sex. And if they were to, you know, make a whole you know, support group off of that, like an anonymous meeting, or like with that, I think that would have been a really cool ending. And then hey, and then that would be a great, like, we defeated the monster, like, fuck it, through understanding and just basic, you know, knowledge, because this monster operates on some sort of physical rules. I feel like if we put our heads together, we could defeat this thing.
But again, like John said previously, they are kids in this one.
Yeah, and again, I get that, but I still would have I guess I had this whole ending wrapped up in my head
No,
before
I like the ending a lot that you have.
before I saw this one. So the whole pool scene, while it's like, oh well, this is neat visually, but metaphorically, it's not really saying a whole lot. With how it's ending, the last shots say a lot, but the pool sequence I feel is just kind of like killing time.
I actually thought that water was going to have more of a big deal. Like, I know water typically represents freedom, but I figured they could just go on a boat. Because if that thing really was, like, you know, it does interact with the world, being in water lets you have many more people to watch out for it then. Mm-hmm. Because then you'd be like, it's over there. You sure? Yeah, because I don't see anything. There's no ducks or anything out there.
Well, hell, douse it with paint. Yeah. And then everyone can see the thing.
That's true.
and then you don't have a problem of no one believing you. I feel like this monster would be very easy. It would be very easy to reveal to the world. But that's not like that's getting kind of like into the nitty gritty of it. Yeah, that was pretty much all I wanted to cover for the spoiler section. John, do you have any last minute thoughts to add on?
I was just gonna say a note on what Travis said about water, and like water is life. Water is like purity and fertility. So I think it does kind of, that is very much a symbol where the first death happens on the beach side. There's a scene on the beach side. Jay goes to the beach side again to, you know, go to the water on the boat, and those three men. She's in the pool at the opening of the movie, and they use up another pool. Like, so I do think water is very important in this movie. I've just never thought about it as much. What was the last thing I wanted to say? No, I just really enjoy this movie, and I think the last thing I remembered it, is that, you know, I keep talking about, like, you know, you look at the world different. The world is different once you become an adult. I think what's really interesting about the movie is that at the beginning of the movie, you're just kind of watching, you know, the movie. You're just kind of looking at her and looking at the things you're supposed to look at. But once you are, you know, once the knowledge is put upon you that, oh, this is what the world is now, you look at the world differently. You look at the screen differently. You're scanning it more often. And that's kind of, I don't know, it goes along with that idea that once certain things happen in your life, once you become an adult, the world doesn't look as safe as it used to. And I just think that's kind of interesting. That was it.
I still kind of wonder what would happen in an orgy.
An orgy?
Or like double penetration or some other things. Like,
I wonder if it would get confused, do you think?
Exactly.
No, it would multiply.
Oh,
like,
that would suck.
It would be a bunch of them like, oh, I gotta go after a bunch of you at once. Because you technically had sex with two dudes at the same time.
Do you think you could beat it if you fucked it hard enough? Like, if it's fucking you to kill you, do you think you could outfuck it?
Do you think... It's like a Dragon Ball Z Kamehameha wave via, like, you just gotta put more energy and more spirit into it. Ah!
Now I'm just imagining some kind of, like, generic flamboyant powerbomb gauge, like, oh honey, please. And then just like...
Or no, like, it's like the ending of Harry Potter where Voldemort and Harry dual clash wands and Harry defeats him through the heart of the cards, only with dicks.
This is where the dick tricks came from. Got it. You're wondering where they're coming with the actual episode.
I think this is back on track with your normal.
Yeah, yes. Now it's what it should be.
John bringing it back. I like. You know what? He went into for the deep thoughts, but he brought it back to that lowbrow humor that I can appreciate. John, you've been a fantastic guest. Thank you for coming on for Netflix and Kill. You've been absolutely fantastic. And with that, I think we can wrap up. You ready to get out of here?
Yeah.
I see a small, creepy woman kind of traveling towards us, so I think we might have to go.
Oh, thank God I don't see anything.
You got $50 for a hooker?
Not for you.
Anyway, we're on Apology Geek Out, and we're out.